Okay, let's see if we can get a handle on this difference between a project and a saved sound file. Many students have problems with this. Here's a project that somebody's been working on. It's got some sort of song going there. It's got some sort of background sounds going on there. So there's two soundtracks. There's a narrator talking, and there's another person talking at the end doing some sort of disclaimer. So I have 4 tracks, and let's say that I'm working on this, but I'm not quite done yet. But the bell's about to ring. The bell's about to ring, so I've got to save my work so I can work on it again tomorrow. Should I save it as a project, or should I export it as an MP3 file? Well, if you need to work on these tracks, you're going to have to save it as a project. Let's watch and see what happens. We'll do Save Project As. And I'm going to put it on my temp folder right here at home, but I know that you'll probably put yours maybe on your H drive. So I'm going to put there, and I'm going to give it a good name. It's about the post office, so I'm going to call it Post Office, and I'm going to call it Post Office Project, so I won't get confused about what that was all about. And I'll do Save, and then I'll close up the Post Office Project because I'm all done. I'm exited, and I'm going to go home. The bell's about to ring. So now I'm going to come back the next day. I'm going to open up Audacity. I'm going to say, I got to work on that project. I worked on it yesterday. So I'll go to File and I'll go to Open, and I want to open that project. And I remember where it is. It's on my temp. You'll find it on your H drive. And here it is, the Post Office Project. And you notice it says Post Office Project AUP. This means that it's an Audacity file, can only be opened with Audacity. You cannot give this file to your friend and have him play it on their MP3. You certainly cannot give it to your teacher. They can't understand it without Audacity. Now, not only did it make this Post Office Project AUP, but it also made a folder full of helper files, all kind of helpers to help you remember what that project was all about. So I'm going to open up my project that I saved yesterday, and I'll just say Open. And here it is, right back the way I left it. Now I can keep working on it just like I did before. What do you think would happen if you came up here and deleted this one, but left all these little helper files there? Do you think it would still work? No, it would not work. Here's something even worse. You can say, oh yeah, this is my project right here. I can just get rid of that stuff. I guess I don't really need it. Yes, you do. You need these two to work together. So that was a project, and it opened up right back into Audacity just the way we like it. Now let's save it as an MP3. We're going to export it. We'll export it as an MP3. It says where do you want it and where do you want to call it. And so I'm going to call it Post Office Final. This is not going to be the project. This is going to be the final. So it's going to be an MP3, and I'll do Save. It says, do you want to save it as an ID3 version 1 or an ID3 version 2? A version 2 will put this information at the beginning of your file. A version 1 will put it at the end of the file. So modern people put it in the beginning, so if somebody's going to download your very long MP3, they can see all this information before it gets too much downloaded. And they can say, hey, I really didn't want that. So we'll go with version 2. It'll put this information. We'll say this is about the post office. You don't really have to fill this out, but maybe you will. You could if you want to. And so I'll put Lushenko, that was the artist. And maybe I'll put the album is G2, that's our room. You can put any genre you want. You might just put other or something. You can look through them. They're kind of fun to look at. They have just a bazillion of them. It doesn't matter what you put it on. Hey, I'm going to call it opera. You can put comments if you want and just say OK. Now it made an MP3. I'm going to close this thing up like I'm going home for the day, and then I'm going to open up my folder like I'm here tomorrow, and here's my MP3, and I can just play it. It'll play. But I wondered if you were to open this up in Audacity and say, hey, I didn't finish working on that. I listened to the MP3 and it doesn't sound very good. I want to make a change to the MP3. So I'll open up Audacity and I'll say, oh, don't worry, I can open up that MP3. And you can. Import the audio. Here's the MP3. Open it up. Wait a minute. How are you going to fix this? It's one giant stereo track. It put all the music together and mixed the music together. And it put all the talking together, the disclaimer, and the other talking that was there, and that's on the separate channel. And now it's a big fat mess. You can't change it anymore. You can't change an MP3. Once you send it out on that dinner plate, it's gone. You can't fix it. That's why it's so important to save it as a project. Let's open a project, the AUP. Remember those helper files? We'll open the AUP and open it up and say, oh, now I can work on it again. That's how it works.